स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्व वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So this Bhakti Vaibhav class, 2 cantos are already covered. So today we are going to start from 3rd canto. Already it was covered, few slokas as Sham Jagannath Prabhu told, but I was not aware, so I thought from the beginning we have to start. So first 2 cantos are considered as 2 lotus feet of the Lord. So after studying first canto 19 chapters and second canto 10 chapters. So in second chapter, especially 2nd canto 8th chapter, Parishit Maharaj asked many questions. You must have studied or remembered also some of the questions. Almost 30 or 27 slokas he asks. Various questions, 2.8.1 to 26 and then 2.8.29. So this connection between 2nd canto and 3rd canto is related to this 2.8.1 to 26 and 2.8.29. So you are able to see the screen. So this is the introduction of Sridhar Swami to this 3rd canto. So some of the Sanskrit sentences. Okay. Okay. This is not visible? New share. Okay. Now? So this is the first sloka. So you can repeat after me and then we'll read from the Tika and try to understand the meaning. Shri Shuka Uvacha Evam etat pura prushto Maitreyo Bhagavan kila Kshatravanam pravishtena Tyaktva svagruham ruddhimat. So here Sridhar Swami's Bhavarth Deepika. So this sloka as a Mangalacharan he does. Tritiyetu Trayas Tridashadhyaye Sarga Varnanam Ishekshaya Gunakshobhat Sargo Brahmand Sambhava. So in this third canto, Tritiyetu Trayas Trimshad. So 33 chapters are there in this third canto. Trayatrimshad Adhyayaihi Sarga Varnanam. So 2.9.1. So I cannot share the screen every now and then. Or possible? Every time I have to click new share. Okay, anyways, I will.
Advance में जाके share screen करेंगे.
You can press Alt tab and go to the other window.
नहीं, यहाँ picture portion of screen करेंगे, तो आपको जो screen दिखाना हुआ.
हाँ.
जब भी screen change करें तो वही आएगा. तो just बड़ा कर दीजिए.
Okay.
ये विंडो इसको साइज में रखना है. कितना पार्ट स्क्रीन का दिखाना है?
Now it's visible, ना?
हाँ, नहीं पूरा जितना विंडो में आ रहा है उतना दिखाना. हाँ, वो जितना विंडो में आएगा उतना ही दिखेगा एडवांस में. पूरा तो ठीक है. अब इसमें जो आएगा उतना ही दिखेगा.
Okay.
ऊपर तो जाएगा. ठीक है. मतलब हाँ ठीक है. ऊपर नीचे दोनों कर देते.
बस.
Because next window.
So whatever I will show, it will be visible.
हाँ, what will show? You don't have to change every time.
So here I was showing Tritiyetu Trayastrimshad Adhyayah Sarga Varnanam, and I was telling in 2.9.1 Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.1. Yes, search I cannot give. Hmm. 2.10, I think, right? Shri Shukavovacha Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utayah Manvantaresha Anukatha Nirodho Muktir Ashraya. So the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam are mentioned in this one sloka. So this is 2.10, second canto, last chapter. So now the third canto onwards, the Sarga portion starts. So many times we had this question. 10 topics we have heard of, but from which canto or in which canto, which topic is mentioned, so that is not authentically known. But here we can see Sarga Varnanam. In third canto, Sarga topic is described. And what is that? Isha Ikshaya Gunakshobhat. So Lord's glance is called as Ikshaya. Isha Ikshaya Gunakshobhat. The three modes of material nature and the Mahat-tattva, they are agitated. Kshobhat, Sargo Brahmanda Sambhava. And therefore the universe was formed. So in this 33 chapters now, Tatratru Prathame Adhyaye Bandhun Hitva Gata Yushah. So in this first Adhyay, Tatratu Prathame Adhyaye Bandhun Hitva. So Vidurji is described as Bandhun Hitva. So he gave up his relatives, Bandhun. And what is the adjective for Bandhun? Gata Yushah. So their lives or lifespans were shortened. They had very few years to live now. Gata Yushah. Nirgatasya Uddhavena Ado Samvada Kshatur Uchchati. So Nirgatasya यानी कि विदुरस्य निर्गतस्य उद्धवेन, so संवाद with Uddhav Ado, in the beginning, whatever conversation happened, Kshattuhu Nirgatasya Uddhavena Ado Samvadha Uchchati. So this is described in the first chapter of third canto. So here also another information is told. Bhagavat Brahma Samproktam Sankshiptam Varnitam Pura. So in the second canto, I think 2.9.32 to 35, Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So Bhagavat Brahma Samproktam. So recently in the previous chapter, Lord spoke to Brahmaji. Sankshiptam Varnitam Pura. In the past, whatever Chatushloki Bhagavatam was told in Sankshipt, in brief. Praha Bhagavatam Shesha Proktam Vistarataha Punaha. So same Bhagavatam was spoken elaborately. Vistarataha, again. So are there two Bhagavatas then? So further it is described. Dvedhahi Shri Bhagavata Sampradaya Pravrittihi. So there are two ways the Bhagavatam was handed down or the knowledge was given. Ekataha Sankshepataha. In the first, in brief, Sankshepataha, Sri Narayana Brahma Narada Adi Dvarena. So Lord Krishna gave it to Brahmaji gave it to Narada and to Vyas, then Shukdev Goswami, then Parikshit Maharaj, so like that. Dvarena. Anyastu Vistarataha. Second one is elaborately how it is Shesha. So Sankarshan or Anantashesh, he gave it to Sanat Kumar. Then Sanat Kumar gave it to Sankhyayan. And then Adi Dvarena. Sankhyayan gave it to Parashar, Parashar to Maitreya, and Maitreya gave it to Vidur. So Tatra Dvitiye Sri Narayana Brahma Samvadena Sankshepataha Aham Evasam Evagre. So this 4 sloka, Chatushloki Bhagavatam is mentioned, Sri Bhagavatam Nirupitam. Tadeva Brahma Narada Samvadena Dasha Lakshanaya Kinchit Vistarena Uktam. So same 4 Chatushloki Bhagavatam is elaborately described by Anantashesh and that parampara. Tadeva Shesham Uktam Ati Vistaratah Vaktum Tritiyadi Arambha. So in the third canto, this is the background. So Vidur, who heard from Parashar, and the second parampara. So here, Tatra Tritiye Prathamam. So this 33 chapters, now how they are divided. So Prathamam Kshatruhu Maitreya Sangamaha Chaturbhir Adhyayi. First 4 chapters out of these 33, they describe about meeting of Vidurji and Maitreya Rishi. Tataha Ashtabhihi. So 8 chapters after this, so from 5th onwards, Tataha Ashtabhi Savisargaha Sarga Prapanchaha. So Sarga and Visarga, they are mentioned. Tataha Visarga Prastavena Saptabhir Varaha Avatara. So first 8 chapters, 4, 8, and then the next 7 chapters, Saptabhihi Varaha Avatara. 7 chapters about Visarga. And Tat Ekena Visarga Samahara. So the conclusion of Visarga is mentioned in 1 chapter. And Tat Prasangena Chaturbhihi Kapila Avatar. So next 4 chapters mention about Kapila Avatar. And then last, Tataha Navabhihi Kapila Akhyanam Iti. So last 9 chapters, they are about Kapila Akhyan, Lord Kapila instructing his mother Devahuti. So 4 plus 8, 12 plus 7, 19 plus 1, 20. Then 4 chapters, Kapila Avatar, and then 24 plus 9, 33. So this is the overview about whole canto, third canto. So Tatra Dvitiyante, now connection between second canto and third canto. Dvitiyante Parimanam cha kalasya kalpalakshana vigraham. So this is sloka number 2.10.47. So I can show here. Search that dialog box should come where I can type here 2.10.47. Parimanam cha kalasya kalpa lakshana vigraham yatha purastad vyakhyasi padmam kalpam atho shrunu. So whatever Parishit Maharaj inquired about calculation of time from one moment to 1 year. So this was the question of Parishit Maharaj. And in this sloka, Parimanam cha kalasya, kal ka pariman, or calculating kalpa lakshana vigraham, purah, in future I will describe about it. Vyakhyase, but now padmam kalpam atho shrunu. But now you hear about padmam kalpa. So Brahmaji's kalpa, about that you hear. So this is the explanation given by Sridhar Swami, telling connection between second canto and third canto. So there is also Sridhar Swami's, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Tika, giving another way. So here, Srimad Vishwanath Chakravarti Kruta Sararth Darshini. He also offers Mangalacharan. And same, this division of 33 chapters is also told here. So here, Vidrodhava Samvada Chaturbhi Punar Ashtabhi Savisarga Sarga Vidhi Saptabhi Kroda Kirtanam Tato Visarga Sankshepa Ekena Kapilodhaya. So all these 33 chapters are similarly told. And here the connection is told little differently. Purva Skandhe Ashtame Adhyaye. So in the previous canto, 8th chapter, Radnya Kriteshu Bahushu Prashneshu Dvi-tri Prashnanam Uttaram Dattva. So if you have a hard copy, second canto is not there now. So if you remember, 2.8, Parishit Maharaj asked many questions to Shukdev Goswami, and Shukdev Goswami answered 2 or 3 questions. Dvi-tri Prashnanam Uttaram Dattva Mahamunihi Manasi Param Amarsha. So after answering 2 or 3 questions out of many questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj, Mahamuni Shukdev Goswami, Manasi Param Amarsha. So he very deeply became thoughtful. So Manasi Param Amarsha, and then he remembered Yatha Anena Radnya Samprati Aham Prushtah. So just like this king, Parikshit is asking me various questions. So Samprati means current times. Aham Prushtha Tatha Eva Purvam. Similarly in the past, Vidurena Api Maitreya Prushthaiti. So Vidur also had inquired or asked similar questions to Maitreya. So this is the background, and therefore this sloka comes now. Whatever we recited, 3.1.1. So coming to first sloka of this first chapter. So evam etat pura prushtah. In the past, pura means in the past. You asked me questions. So similar questions, etat. So similar questions, etat, or in the yatha bhavan mam prushthavan, evam eva etat kila pura, in the past, vruddhi mata. So here the word vruddhi mata. So this is the adjective for swagraham. So his own house, which was very prosperous, or samruddhibhi. So it was very prosperous. Kshatra. Kshatra means vidurena. Tyaktva. He gave up that house. And then vanam pravishtena. So he entered into the forest. And then Maitreya Bhagavan. So Bhagwan word is used for Maitreya, adjective for Maitreya. So he asks questions to Maitreya. So what is Prabhupada's translation? Shukdev Goswami said, O king, after Vidur, the great devotee, renounced his prosperous home and entered the forest, he asked these very questions to Chayedar, to his grace Maitreya Rishi. So this is the background. And moreover now, what is the speciality of that house? So coming back to this tika, here last sentence, tatascha prastavena eva uthapitena radnyah. So this is the pretext, or this is the prastavana for telling what conversation took place between Vidura and Maitreya Rishi. So sarva prashnottaram dasyami iti nischitya aha. Then the actual word from the sloka, evam iti hriddimat sarva sampadbhihi purnam. So Vidura's house was very prosperous, but still he gave it up. So what is the reason? So that is told now, elaborated even in the second sloka. So in the second sloka it is coming now. Go to this big font version. So something from purport. This is Yadva ayam mantra kruddo Bhagavan akhileshwarah. Yadva ayam mantra krudvo Bhagavan akhileshwarah Pauravendra graham hitva praviveshatma satkrutam. So here, yad vai ayam mantra krudvah Bhagavan akhileshwarah. So here the word is va is there, but actually if you go to word meaning, then it is vai. So according to Sanskrit grammar rule, so shakalyasya lop, vai, I becomes va ban jata hai. So here is va doesn't mean that or, but that house, certainly that house Vidura left. So what is the speciality of that house? Ayam means he is referring to Krishna. Shukdev Goswami is so much absorbed about, not Shukdev Goswami, Shukdev Goswami, correct. Shukdev Goswami is so much absorbed about thinking about Krishna that he is seeing Krishna immediately sitting next to him. Ayam mantra kridha. So Lord who became the mantra kridha or messenger carrier for Pandavas. Vaha means your messenger carrier Krishna, this Krishna. Bhagavan akhileshwarah. So Supreme Lord, Akhileshwara, controller of everything. So what he did? Pauravendra graham hitva. So that Lord who became the messenger for you Pandavas, so he gave up the house of Pauravendra. So Yayati Maharaja's 4 sons, Puru, and from that Puru dynasty came Kuru, in which Kauravas were there and Duryodhana was there. So that Lord gave up the house of Duryodhan, Pauravendra graham hitva, pravivesha atma satkrutam. So he entered, pravivesha. So whose house he entered? Vidura's house. So that kind of house Vidura left, which was actually a holy place. Lord, without being invited, he entered into that house, and that house Vidur left. So Lord considered that house to be Atma Satkritam, Atmiyatena Svikritam. So he did not consider that this is house which is non-different from my own palace in Dwarka. So that was the closeness of Vidurji to Lord. What else is there to say about the residential house of the Pandavas? Prabhupada is equating Vidura's house with the Pandavas' palace. Sri Krishna, the Lord of everything, acted as your minister, Mantrakrit. He used to enter that house as if it were his own, Atma Satkritam, and he did not care at all for Duryodhana's house. So this is the speciality of Vidura's house. So why someone will leave the house which is holy place itself? According to the Gaudiya Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva philosophy, anything which satisfies the senses of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is also Sri Krishna. For example, Sri Vrindavan Dham is non-different from Sri Krishna, Tad Dhama Vrindavanam, because at Vrindavan the Lord enjoys the transcendental bliss of his internal potency. Similarly, the house of the Pandavas was also a source of transcendental bliss for the Lord. So here Prabhupada is equating Vidura's house to Pandava's house. It is mentioned here that the Lord identified the house with his own self, Atmasat Kritam. Thus the house of the Pandavas was as good as Vrindavan, and Vidur should not have given up that place of transcendental bliss. Therefore, the reason of his quitting the house was not exactly a family misunderstanding. Rather, Vidur took the opportunity to meet Rishi Maitreya and discuss transcendental knowledge. For a saintly person like Vidur, any disturbance due to worldly affairs is insignificant. Such disturbances, however, are sometimes favorable for higher realization, and therefore Vidur took advantage of a family misunderstanding in order to meet Maitreya Rishi. सुखदेव गोस्वामी बोल रहे हैं. Both slokas are spoken by Shukdev Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj. Vah means you Pandavas. For you Pandavas, he became the messenger carrier. So Pandavas के line में है. In that sense. So now Parikshit Maharaj is asking question to Shukdev Goswami. Rajo Vacha Kutra Kshatur Bhagavata Maitreya Sangamaha Kada Vasah Samvada Yetad Varnayanah Prabho. So Parikshit Maharaj is saying to Shukdev Goswami, Hey Prabho, Kshattaha Vidur Bhagavata Maitreya Sah. तो ये मैत्रेय के लिए एडजेक्टिव है. भगवता कुत्र संगमः, where did they meet? About the place he is asking. And kadava, so when did they meet? And or when that samvad took place. Kadavasah samvada yetad naha varnaya. So please describe all this to us. Naha means to us, and Vaha means to you all Pandavas. Previously it came. So Prabhupada's translation. The king asked Shukdev Goswami, where, kutra, and when, kadava, did the meeting and discussion, so sangamaha and samvadha. So meeting is sangamaha and samvadha, discussion, take place between Saint Vidur and His Grace Maitreya Muni. Kindly oblige, my Lord, Prabhu, and describe this to us. So Parikshit Maharaj is asking, one person is asking, but he is considering all the other audience also with him. So why I want to know this? Parishit Maharaj describes it further. न ह्यल्पार्थादयोस्त्य न हि अल्पार्थोदयस्तस्य विदुरस्य अमलात्मनः तस्मिन् वरीयसी प्रश्नः साधुवादोपबृंहितः. So here the word he. Why I want to know about that samvad and sangama? Because is like he. Variyasi tasmin. So those questions are very variyasi, gunaihi utkrishtai. They are very good questions and to ask to Maitreya Rishi, tasmin. And who asked these questions? Tasya, Vidurasya and Amalatmanaha. These three words are in same vibhakti referring to Vidur. So Vidurasya Prashnaha Nahi Alpa Artha Udayah. His questions are not giving rise to Uday. Uday means explanation or meaning to these questions are not Alpa Artha but Bahu Artha Udayah. And those questions are sadhu vadopa brahmitaha. So all the great saintly people, they have praised those questions. Or even Maitreya Rishi also praised the questions asked by Vidurji. Therefore, I want to know about the samvada and sangama. So, translation of Prabhupada. Saint Vidur was a great and pure devotee of the Lord. So here, Amalatmanaha, pure devotee of the Lord, and therefore his questions to His Grace Rishi Maitreya must have been very purposeful, na alpa artha udayah, on the highest level, variyasi, and approved by learned circles. So sadhupa brahmitah, sadhu vadopa brahmitah. So somebody can read the purport, can take the mic.
Questions and answers among different classes of men have different value. Inquiries by mercantile men in a business exchange cannot be expected to be highly purposeful in spiritual values. Question and answers by different classes of men can be guessed by the caliber of the persons concerned. In Bhagavad Gita, the discussion was between Lord Sri Krishna and Arjuna, the Supreme Person and the Supreme Devotee respectively. The Lord admitted Arjuna to be his devotee and friend. Bhagavad Gita 4.3. And therefore, any sane man can guess that the discussion was on the topic of the Bhakti Yoga system. Actually, the whole Bhagavad Gita is based on the principle of Bhakti Yoga. There is a difference between karma and karma yoga. Karma is regulated action for the enjoyment of the fruit by the performer. But the karma yoga is action performed by the devotee for the satisfaction of the Lord. Karma yoga is based on bhakti or pleasing the Lord, whereas karma is based on pleasing the senses of the performer himself. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, one is advised to approach a bona fide spiritual master when one is actually inclined to question from an elevated level of spiritual understanding. A common man who has no interest in spiritual values has no need to approach a spiritual master, just as a matter of following fashion. As a student, Maharaj Parikshit was serious about learning the science of God, and Sukadeva Goswami was a bona fide spiritual master in the transcendental science. Both of them knew that the topics discussed by Vidura and Rishi Maitreya were elevated, and thus Maharaj Parikshit was very interested in learning from the bona fide spiritual master.
So here are two important points. Questions and answers by different classes of men can be guessed by the caliber of the persons concerned. So what questions Parishit Maharaj asked to Shukadeva Goswami may not be relevant to other karmi people. There is one point, and this difference between karma yoga and karma. So what is this There is a difference. Karma is regulated action for the enjoyment of the fruit by the performer. So there is the word karma, karya and karma yoga. Karma is in general activity. Karya means duty. It has to be done. And karma yoga is what Prabhupada is mentioning. Action performed by the devotee for the satisfaction of the Lord. So in Bhagavad Gita 2.39 to 53, in 2.39 Lord mentions, Eshate abhita sankhye buddhi yoget vimam shunu buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. And in that only 2.39 है, 47 में आता है, कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन. So performing action for the satisfaction of the Lord, how it has great benefits. So this is the third way Lord tells to Arjun that this is the reason you should fight. First reason about knowledge about soul. Second about karmakand or performing your duty, swadharma as a kshatriya. And third reason, your activities should be pleasing to the Lord. Three reasons he tells. So now next, Suddha Goswami is telling to Shaunaka Rishi. So in Bhagavatam there are three conversations. One is about Suddha Goswami and Shaunaka Rishi, or Shaunak Rishi. Then Narad Muni and Vyasdev, one conversation happened in first canto, chapter 5, 6, 7, and Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So now Suddha Goswami is
action which is done for satisfaction of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So the statement is looking quite similar to the definition of Bhakti Yoga, that the action which is done for satisfaction of the Lord.
So there is a Nishkam Karma Yoga in which the fruits of the actions are offered to the Lord. So beginning of Bhakti Yoga is Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga is very broad term. The initial stage is Nishkam Karma Yoga. Not attached to the action, offering fruits to the Lord.
Will it be correct to say that this is like what he wants to do, that he is doing, and doing it for the pleasure of Lord? And Bhakti Yoga is, even if he does not like, he is doing for the pleasure of Lord.
Yes, correct. So now Suta Goswami is just telling to Shaunak Rishi. Sutak uvacha sa evam rishivaryo yam prushto rajnya parikshita pratyaha tam subahuvit pritatma shruyatam iti. So Suta Goswami is saying, so inquired like this. So evam rajnya parikshita ayam ऋषिवर्यः सुबहुवित पृष्ठः. तो इस प्रकार से राजा के द्वारा ये ऋषिवर्य और सर्वज्ञ के लिए सुबहुवित, अयम सुबहुवित ऋषिवर्यः पृष्ठः. So when inquired like this, what Shukdev Goswami said, so he said too, he became very pleased, pritatma. So he said to tam means parikshitam. So tam shruyatam iti pratiaha. So now Parikshit, listen carefully. So Shukdev Goswami said to Parikshit Maharaj like this. Sri Suta Goswami said, the great sage Shukdev Goswami was highly experienced, subahuvit, and was pleased with the king, Pritatma. Thus being questioned by the king, so evam prushtah, he said to him, that is Shukdev Goswami said to Parikshit Maharaj, please hear the topics attentively, shruyatam. So this is only one sloka by Suta Goswami. And now Shukdev Goswami is narrating how Maitreya Rishi and Vidurji, they met. So Shri Shuka Uvacha Yada tu Raja Swasutan Asadhun Yada tu Raja Swasutan Asadhun Pushnan Adharmena Vinashta Drushtihi Bhraturyavisthasya Sutan Vibandhun Pravesha Laksha Bhavane Tadaha. So Shukadeva Goswami is saying, Yada, when Vinashta Buddhihi Raja Dhritarashtra, so he Adharmena Pushnan, Adharma se पालन करता हुआ, ध्यायन स्तुवन, तो वैसे पश्यन गच्छन, तो वैसे अधर्म के द्वारा पालन करता हुआ, किसका पालन? स्वसुतान असाधुन, his own sons, and what is their visheshan? Asadhun, they were not very saintly or not very good sons. And then भ्रातृहु यविष्ठस्य, तो यविष्ठस्य यानी कि कनिष्ठस्य, कनिष्ठ भ्राता के, भ्रातुहु यविष्ठस्य सुतान, तो उनके छोटे भाई के पुत्रों को विबंधुन यानी कि they were पितृहीनान, fatherless sons of his younger brother, लाक्षा भवने प्रवेश, so लाक्षा गृह में प्रवेश कराकर, ददाह, he wanted to burn them to ashes. So here the word yada is there, so logically speaking tada also should come. So where it is coming? So that is told in the Tika by Sridhar Swami also and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also. So here sloka number 6 here. Tyagan अनर्हस्य अपि गृहस्य त्यागे हेतुत्वेन कौरव अपराधान आह, तो ऐसा घर की जो त्यागने योग्य नहीं था, त्यागान अनर्हस्य अपि गृहस्य त्यागे, ऐसा घर की जो त्यागने योग्य नहीं था उसको भी त्यागा, हेतुत्वेन कौरव अपराधान आह, तो कौरवों के अनेक अपराधों के बारे में अभी बोल रहे हैं। अपराधान मेनी बहुवचन है। यदा इति एकादश भी, यदा ये श्लोक से चालू हो रहा है, यदा तु, और एकादश भी यहां से चालू होकर 11वां श्लोक काउंट कीजिए आप, और उसमें आएगा एक वाक्य, एतेषां च तदा स क्षत्ता अयाद इति एकादशे क्रिया संबंध। तो ये 16th श्लोक आप जरा देखिए, 16th, तो उसमें आई थिंक आई ओनली कैन डिस्प्ले हियर 16th श्लोका, so there it is coming, ayad, ayad means he left. So here gatavyatha ayad urumanyanah, so here the word ayad is kriyapad. Ayad means he left, exited. What word meaning? Exited. Exited. Exit and ed, exited. Correct na? Book में अलग होगा. So this is where now Sanskrit is relevant. Excited नहीं हो, exited. He left Hastinapur forever or permanently. Exit ना? हाँ. बुक में कहाँ है? ओके. Excited, yeah, okay. Printing. Excited, eh? There you go. So this is how we should scrutinizingly. Prabhupada talks about this word scrutinizingly. Study Bhagavad Gita, every sloka. So मैं इधर बता रहा था ये तेषाम च, ये सब श्लोकों का ये तेषाम च तदा स क्षत्ता अयाद इति एकादशे क्रिया संबंध. तो 11वें अध्याय के 11वें श्लोक के क्रियापद से इसका संबंध है. तो यविष्ठस्य कनिष्ठस्य पांडोहो विबंधुन पितृहीनान, जो डिफिकल्ट वर्ड लग रहा है उसका ही मीनिंग सेम विभक्ति में जनरली दिया जाता है. So now coming back to this, in between I wanted to show this other file where translation of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Tika is also. तो यदा तो राजा स्वसुतान असाधुन. तो इसके भी the sentence ends in 16th shloka with the statement Vidur left Kshatta Ayad. Vinashta Drishtihi here indicates that Vidur had, page by page jara to cannot see that line, had Vinashta Drishti refers to Dhritarashtra. So he was having blindness right from his birth, and as well as he was not having eyes of knowledge to see things in right perspective. So exact meaning also I wanted to tell. Vinashta drishti dharma vishayakam jnanam chakshuhu cha यस्य सह. तो धर्म विषय ज्ञान देखने की क्षमता न होने वाला ऐसा ये विनष्ट दृष्टि. कमिंग बैक टू दिस श्लोका अगेन. सो ही आई टोल्ड द मीनिंग ऑफ द श्लोका बट आई डिड नॉट रीड द translation by Prabhupada. So I will read that. Shloka number 6. This is the Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, King Dhritarashtra became blind under the influence of impious desires to nourish his dishonest sons. So Vinashta Drishti and Swasutan Asadhun. And thus he set fire to the lac house to burn his fatherless nephews, the Pandavas. Okay. We'll go ahead. If I go by this speed, I think I will cover only 12 slokas. One sloka will take and then take 5 minutes break. Yada sabhayam kurudeva devyaha keshabhimarsham sutakarmagarhyam Navarayama sanrupaha snushayaha swastrair harantya kuchakunkumani. So again the word yada. 4 incidents are described in 4 slokas. When this happened, when this happened, when this happened. Then Dhritarashtra called Vidur for consultation. So yada sabhayam, when in the assembly, so Kurudeva Devyaha. Kurudev is referring to Yudhishthir Maharaj and his Devi referring to Draupadi. Yadacha Nrupaha, Nrupa here refers to Dhritarashtra. When King Dhritarashtra Sabhayam Kurudeva Devyaha Swastraihi. So Swa Asru or Asra, for woman the Asra is her weapons or her tears only. So here Swastra, double meaning. So her tears made Kucha Kunkumani Harantyaha. So the kunkum which was there on her chest, it flowed down. So because of her crying. So much crying was there that water was washing away the kumkum on her breast. So this happened because Suta Garhyam Suta Karma. So this is very abominable. Garhyam Suta Karma. So Dushasan was Keshabhimarsham. He was pulling the hairs of Draupadi. And Nrupaha Snushayaha Draupadiyaha. ये अपने बहू के ऐसे केशों को जब स्वयं का पुत्र खींच रहा था, so he did not stop him or did not check his son's activities. Na varayamasa. So this is the Kriya Pada. So when this happened, this is the second incident. The king did not forbid na varayamasa his son Dushasan's abominable act of grabbing the hair of Draupadi, the wife of the godly King Yudhishthir, Kuru Deva Devyaha, even though her tears washed the red dust on her breasts. Okay, I think we'll stop here. We'll have a Gayatri break for 5 minutes and then again continue further.
चालू करें कैमरा कैमरा क्या चालू ये तो है तिकडं चाललंय तिकडं नाही आवाज तिकडं नाही ठीक आहे कीबोर्डमध्ये मॉनिटर करा म्हणजे बा स्क्रीन तिकडं शेअर होतो व्हिडिओ तुमच्या याच्यामध्ये जातो ठीक आहे मग व्हिडिओ इथून झाला मग ऑडिओ इथून झालं ऑडिओ कुठून चालू इथून चालू डिस्टर्बन्स होईल शेअर करायला लागतं केवळ आम्ही कारण त्यांनी ऑलरेडी केलं कुठलं केवळ त्यांनी ऑलरेडी दिला ठीक आहे केवळ ऑलरेडी त्यांनी दिला मेरा तिकडे नाव तुम्हाला आवाज इथून दे नाही तिथून द्या ना ते बोलता घेतले लगेच माईक जवळचा ना नाही तसं काही फरक नाही इथून चांगलं गायत्री करू का आवाज चेक करू कॅमेरा हलत राहील कसं ती उभी नाही
हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण. चलो. हरे कृष्ण.
नहीं नहीं, सबका नहीं है, केवल विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर. नहीं नहीं. हाँ yes.
कैमरे कसले डायरेक्ट
स्टैंड दिखाएगा.
इसका माइक
माइक नहीं है, दोनों को ऑफ होगा.
स्पीकर स्पीकर स्पीकर
स्पीकर ऑफ.
हरे कृष्णा. प्रभु जी आवाज आ रहा है अभी नरसिंह माता रो. इज इट बेटर? आई कांट हियर यू. Narasimha, can you speak once? Thank you. Sound is better, Prajna? Sound is better now? Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll start. यूते त्वधर्मेण जितस्य साधुः सत्त्वावलम्बस्य वनं गतस्य न याचतो दात् समयेन दायम् तमोजुषाणो यदजातशत्रुः. So here the words अधर्मेण जितस्य, अधर्म के द्वारा जिसकी संपत्ति जीत ली गई थी, ऐसा अधर्मेण जितस्य. एंड साधो हो, जैसे गुरु का गुरो हो, वंदे गुरु हो श्री चरणारविंद. तो ये षष्ठी एक वचन में ये सब अधर्मेण जितस्य, जैसे देवस्य वैसे साधु का साधो हो. और एक एडजेक्टिव सत्यावलंबस्य, one who always followed the path of satya, सत्यावलंबस्य. एंड वनम गतस्य, जो वन में गया था. और एक उनका विशेषण अजात शत्रु हो. सो फॉर वन whose enemy was never born. So Dyute, in the gambling match, one who was conquered by adharma, one who had gone to forest. So when he came back and asked for his dayam, means swabhagam ya rajyam. So yachatah dayam means bhagam samayena. So in due course he came back and then he asked for his share. And na adat. So na word is connected to which word? Adat. Adat means dena and na means did not. So who did not give? Tamo jushanah. So this is the word for Dhritarashtra. So previously, Vinashta Drushtihi Nrupaha, then this is the Tamo Dushanaha. So one who was afflicted by too much Tamogun, or one who was serving the sons affected by Tamogun. Jushanaha means Sevamanaha. So who was serving the Tamoguni sons. So he did not give the rightful share of the kingdom to Yudhishthir Maharaj, who had these many adjectives. So Prabhupada's translation: Yudhishthir, whose enemy was never born, was unfairly defeated in gambling, adharmena jitasya. But because he had taken the vow of truthfulness, satyavalambasya, he went off to the forest, vanam gatasya. When he came back in due course and begged the return of his rightful share of the kingdom, he was refused, na adat, by Dhritarashtra, who was overwhelmed by illusion. So, tamo jushano. So, greed can make us so much callous or udasin towards his duty. So once I was analyzing some symptoms of a person who is very much attached. In Gita, many places attachment is condemned. So one of the major symptom is person doesn't see fault in the another person with whom he is attached. So Dhritarashtra was too much attached to Duryodhana and he was not seeing the faults in Duryodhana's behavior. So somebody can read the purport.
Maharaj Yudhishthir was the rightful heir of his father's kingdom. But just to favor his own sons, headed by Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, Maharaj Yudhishthir's uncle, adopted various unfair means to cheat his nephews of their rightful share of the kingdom. At last the Pandavas demanded only 5 villages, one for each of the 5 brothers. But that also was refused by the usurpers. This incident led to the war of Kurukshetra. The battle of Kurukshetra therefore was induced by the Kurus and not the Pandavas. As Kshatriyas, the proper livelihood of the Pandavas was only to rule and not to accept any other occupation. A Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya will not accept employment for his livelihood under any circumstances.
So here this also has speaker? Yes. Okay. So now 3 incidents are told. First incident is okay, now 4th incident is told in the next sloka. Yada cha partha prahitah sabhayam jagad gururyani jagad krishnah natani pumsam amrutayanani rajo rumene kshata punyaleshah. So here again the word yada. When partha prahitah, partha here refers to Yudhishthir Maharaj. So prahita means preshitah. Yudhishthir Maharaj had sent Krishna, who is Jagat Guru, to Kauravas for the final talk, for avoiding the war. So when Yudhishthir Maharaj sent, so here for Krishna, 3 words are there. Partha Prahitah, Krishna, Jagat Guru. So when he went to that Sabhayam, Yani Amrutayanani. So the words which were like nectar, for whom? Pumsam. Bhishma ityadi ke liye, the words of Lord Krishna were like nectar. So when Krishna Jagada means Babhasha, or he spoke. So those words were like shower of nectars for Bhishma and others. But Natani Raja, but those words were not considered like that. Natani Mene means he did not consider or count them as Amrutayanani. Why he could not take those words as shower of nectar? The reason is told, Kshata Punya Leshaha. So because he had exhausted his pious credits. So now Prabhupada's translation. Lord Krishna was sent by Arjun. So here Partha can refer to Arjun also and Yudhishthira also. Lord Krishna was sent by Arjun into the assembly as the spiritual master of the whole world. And although his words were heard by some, like Bhishma, Pumsam, as pure nectar, Amrutayanani, it was not so for the others who were completely bereft of the last farthing of past pious works. The king, Raja, so here or is mentioned, Dhritarashtra or Duryodhana, did not take the words of Lord Krishna very seriously. Na uru mene, uru means bahu or very greatly honored. He did not take Krishna's words in that way. So iska bhi translation, purport is very nice. So someone else, Manmohan Shyam Prabhu.
Lord Krishna, who is the spiritual master of the entire universe, accepted the duty of a messenger and deputed by Arjuna, went to the assembly of King Dhritarashtra on a peace mission. Krishna is everyone's Lord, yet because he was the transcendental friend of Arjuna, he gladly accepted the role of messenger. Exactly like an ordinary friend. That is the beauty of the Lord's behavior with his pure devotees. He reached the assembly and spoke about peace, and the message was released by Bhishma and other great leaders. Because it was spoken by the Lord himself, but neither Duryodhana nor his father Dhritarashtra took the message very seriously due to the exhaustion of the pious result of their past deeds. That is the way of person who have no credit of pious deeds. By past pious deeds, one may become the king of a country, but because the result of the pious acts of Duryodhana and company were dwindling, it became evident from their action that they were sure to lose the kingdom to the Pandavas. The message of Godhead is always like nectar to devotees, but it's just the opposite to the non-devotees. Sugar candy is always sweet to a healthy man, but it tastes very bitter to person suffering from jaundice.
So here in one tika it is mentioned, Vakyam Shastra Guru Nam Na Nashta Punyasya Rochati. So the sentences of Shastra and Guru, Nashta Punyasya Na Rochati, one whose punya has become exhausted, for such a person the sentences of Guru and Shastra are not very pleasing. So Prabhupada is mentioning here about they had some pious credits for holding the kingdom for some time, but not for getting happiness in their life. So this is the point which is mentioned even by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Tika, just to give you a connection. Here. So Pumsam Tad Bhaktanam Bhishmadinam. Prabhupada is writing in the bracket Bhishma. From where? From this tika. Bhishmadinam. Raja refers to Dhritarashtra, Duryodhanava. Duryodhana or Dhritarashtra, bracket mein tha. It's coming from tika. Uru, the meaning of word Uru means Bahu na mene tatra hetu kshata. Kshata means kshata punya lesha. So they, pious credits, na sukha kirti dharmadikaraha kintu rajya prapakah. So they had some pious credits only to get rajya prapakah punyalesha na sukha kirti dharmadikaraha. यह पुण्यलेश आसीद तस्य अपि नष्टत्वाद. और जो थोड़ा बहुत पुण्यलेश बचा था वो भी अभी नष्ट हो गया था उनके अनादर के कारण. तस्य नष्टत्वात्. Okay, coming back to next sloka. So this is the lesson we learn. Whenever we go out for preaching, sometimes the audience will not be very eager for listening. But still we have to enjoy ourselves. Even they may not enjoy, we have to enjoy what we speak. Because this is the natural tendency of a conditioned soul because of his Swalpa Punya Vratam Rajan Vishwaso Naiva Jayate. Even the prayer which we recite before taking prasad. Those who have less pious credits, they cannot have faith in Govinda Mahaprasada. Mahaprasada Govinda Swalpa Punya Vratam Rajan Vishwaso Naiva Jayate. So they will not have faith in all these things because of having less pious credits. So we have to be ourselves spiritually strong, not get affected by their less advancement. Next sloka. Yadopahuto bhavanam pravishto mantraya prushtah kila purvajena athaha tanmantra drusham variyan yanmantrino vaidurikam vadanti. So again the next incident now. Yada Purvajena, the one who was born before Vidur. So first Dhritarashtra, then Pandu and then Vidur. So when he was called by his elder brother to Upahuta, and he Ahutavan, he asked Vidur to be called in the assembly or Bhavana. So when he entered Bhavanam Pravishtah, for what purpose? Mantraya, to discuss about what to do in these particular circumstances. So here, mantri is one who does good, nice chanting of the mantras, and one who is very good in mantrana, in advising or holding a meeting. He is very skillful in these two things, chanting mantras and doing mantrana. Taking a very fruitful, conducting a fruitful meeting. Otherwise, some meetings go haywire and no conclusion at all. But ideally, mantri means he is expert in these two things. So Vidur was having such a important post in Hastinapur. Hastinapur's king was emperor, and in his kingdom, Vidur was mantri. So what kind of fame and name and fame he must be having, you can imagine. So he was called by Dhritarashtra, and when he was asked Prushtah, so after that Atha Aha, so whatever he said, Tan Mantra Drusham Variyan. So these two words, Mantra Drusham and Variyan, who is very expert in chanting mantras and doing mantrana. So whatever he said, so that Mantrinaha, so those who are expert in this field are known as Mantrinaha, Vaidurikam Vadanti. So Vidur से बना हुआ वैदुरिकम, तो जैसे विनता से बना हुआ वैनतेय, गरुड़ जी का नाम क्या है? विनता के पुत्र वैनतेय, वैसे विदुर से निकली हुई नीति यानी कि वैदुरिकम, विदुर नीति वदंती. So Mantrinaha, those who are expert in this field, they call Vidura's words as Vidura Niti. When Vidur was invited by his elder brother Dhritarashtra for consultation, he entered the house and gave instructions which were exactly to the point. His advice is well known, and instructions by Vidur are approved by expert ministers of state. So now, so this Chanakya Niti, Vidur Niti, Prabhupada mentions in the purport. So now what did he say? So it is mentioned in 5 or 6 slokas almost. Ajata Shatruho Pratiyachadayam तितिक्षतो दुर्विषहं तवागः सहानुजो यत्र वृकोदराहिः श्वसन् रुषा यत्त्वमलं बिभेषि. So now here tavagah means tava aparadham. So now Vidurji is saying to Dhritarashtra, so your offenses tavagah were very durvishaham. So all your offenses were very difficult to tolerate, or sodhum ashakyam iti durvishaham. So your offenses were very difficult to be tolerated, but still they tolerated. So Yudhishthira tolerated titikshataha, and then ajata shatroho titikshataha. So dayam pratiyachha. So your offenses were very intolerable, but still they were tolerated by Yudhishthira Maharaj. Therefore dayam means their rajyam pratiyachha. So yachha means dena, but pratiyachha वापस देना, यानी कि पहले उन्होंने तुमको दिया था, अभी तुम वापस दे दो उनको. So pratiyachha. So why you should do that? The reason is told in the next two lines. Sahanujah. So along with his Anuja brothers, and especially Vrukodaraha, Bhim is addressed by this word, Vrukodaraha. Ahi is like serpent, and because of his anger, Rusha, Swasan. So how the angry serpent takes his breaths. So Yat Tvam Alam Bibheshi. So you, Alam means sufficiently you are fearful about Bhima's anger, who is breathing heavily like an angry serpent. Vidur said, you must now return the legitimate share to Yudhishthir, who has no enemies and who has been forbearing through untold sufferings due to your offenses. He is waiting with his younger brothers, among whom is the revengeful Bhima, breathing heavily like a snake. Surely you are afraid of him. So Tvam Alam Vibheshi, you are sufficiently afraid of Bhim. So therefore now you should give the share of the kingdom to them. Partham stu devo bhagavan mukundo Grihitavan sakshiti deva devaha Aste svapuryam yadudeva devo Vinirjita shesha nrudeva devaha. So here the word Grihitavan is the Kriyapad. So Devaha, the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan Mukundaha, and the adjective is Sakshiti Deva Devaha. So Kshiti Deva is the Brahmanas, and Devaha it refers to the demigods. So the Supreme Lord Mukunda, along with Brahmanas and demigods, has accepted Parthan Grihitavan. He has accepted Pandavas as his own family members. They were, but he even closer. And what is the speciality of Krishna? So he is residing Asti, Swapuryam Asti. तो यदु देव देव, यदु सेना में जो एक्सपर्ट थे उनके आराध्य यदु देव देव, and another adjective is Vinirjita Shesha Nrudeva Devaha. So the Lord who had defeated all the major kings of this world, Vinirjita Ashesha Nrudeva Devaha Swapuryam Aste. So such a Lord who has defeated all the big kings and all the demigods, and other kings are also on his side, Brahmanas are on his side, he has accepted Pandavas as his own members. The Lord, the personality of Godhead, has accepted the sons of Pandu as his kingsmen, and all the kings of the world are with Lord Sri Krishna. He is present in his home with all his family members, the kings and princes of the Yadu dynasty, who have conquered the unlimited number of rulers, and he is their Lord. So he is making him aware that lot of support is there for the Pandavas in this way, so you should give the kingdom back to them. So I think we will not read the purport of this. Already Mahabharata incidents are known to you. So now here comes the exact word. Sayesha dosha purushadvidaste Gruhan pravishto yamapatyamatya Pushnasi krishnad vimukho gatashrihi Tyajashvashaivam kulakaushalaya. So here, yam apatya matya. Yam means Duryodhanam. जिसको अपत्य मत्या, ये मेरा पुत्र है, ऐसी मति जिसकी है अपत्य मत्या. So सह एष दोष, he is personification of all faults. स एष दोषः. Why? Because Purusha Vidah Asti. Here Purusha refers to Param Purush, the Supreme Lord, and Vidam is one who is envious of. So he is personification of all faults because he is envious of the Supreme Lord. And Saha Grahan Pravishta, and he has entered your house. Such a personification of all faults. He has entered your house. And you are Pushnasi. You are nourishing or you are maintaining और पालन पोषण कर रहे हो तुम्हारे पुत्र का. And because of this, what is your situation? Krishnad vimukha. Because of becoming vimukh from Krishna, Gatashrihi, you have become or devoid of all opulence. Gatashrihi, nistej chehra, or your opulence or shrihi has gone. So therefore, Tyaja Ashu Ashaivam. तो अशैवम मीन्स अमंगलम. इसको ये एष दोषः अशैवम आशु त्यज. Immediately you give him up. For what sake? Kula Kaushalaya. For the sake of whole Kula, you should immediately give him up. You are maintaining offense personified. Pushnasi Esha Dosha. Duryodhan as your infallible son, Apattamatya. But he is envious of Lord Krishna, Purushaha Dvish. And because you are thus maintaining a non-devotee of Krishna, you are devoid of all auspicious qualities. Gatashri. Relieve yourself of this ill fortune as soon as possible. Ashu. And do good to the whole family. So now this incident is happening when Duryodhana is how many years old? Approximately. This incident happened when Pandavas came back from forest and just before the battle took place. So, and Pandavas ruled for 36 years or 32 to 36 years. So assuming that before they started ruling, 4 years went in battle and everything. So Krishna's age and Arjuna's age was similar. So 125 minus 40, 85 years. So safely more than 80 years. So this incident happened 80 years after Duryodhana's birth. And now what happened when Duryodhana took birth is mentioned in Mahabharata. So I will just read few translations of slokas. दुर्योधन के जन्म का समाचार परम बुद्धिमान भीष्म तथा विदुर जी को बताया गया. जिस दिन दुर्धर्ष वीर दुर्योधन का जन्म हुआ, उसी दिन परम पराक्रमी महाभाऊ भीमसेन भी उत्पन्न हुए. धृतराष्ट्र का वह पुत्र जन्म लेते ही गधे के रेकने की सी आवाज में रोने चिल्लाने लगा। तो छोटा बालक, नॉर्मल रोना नहीं था उसका, उसकी आवाज सुनकर बदले में दूसरे गधे भी रेंकने लगे। गिद्ध, गिद्धड़ और कौवे भी कोलाहल करने लगे। बड़े जोर की आंधी चलने लगी, संपूर्ण दिशाओं में दहासा होने लगा। राजन, तब राजा धृतराष्ट्र भयभीत से हो उठे और बहुत से ब्राह्मणों, भीष्म जी और विदुर जी को दूसरे दूसरे सुहृदों तथा समस्त कुरुवंशियों को अपने समीप बुलाकर उनसे इस प्रकार बोले। आदरणीय गुरुजनों, हमारे कुल की कीर्ति बढ़ाने वाले राजकुमार युधिष्ठिर सबसे ज्येष्ठ हैं। वे अपने गुणों से राज्य को पाने के अधिकारी हो चुके हैं। उनके विषय में हमें कुछ नहीं कहना है, किंतु उनके बाद मेरा यह पुत्र ही ज्येष्ठ है। क्या यह भी राजा बन सकेगा? इस बात पर विचार करके आप लोग ठीक ठीक बताएं। जो बात अवश्य होने वाली है उसे स्पष्ट कहें। जन्मेजय, धृतराष्ट्र की यह बात समाप्त होते ही चारों दिशाओं में भयंकर मांसाहारी जीव गर्जना करने लगे। गिद्धड़ अमंगल सूचक बोली बोलने लगे। सब ओर होने वाले उन भयानक अपशकुनों को लक्ष्य करके ब्राह्मण लोग तथा परम बुद्धिमान विदुर जी इस प्रकार बोले। 80 years before he said this. नरश्रेष्ठ, आपके ज्येष्ठ पुत्र के जन्म लेने पर जिस प्रकार ये भयंकर अपशकुन प्रकट हो रहे हैं, उनसे स्पष्ट जान पड़ता है कि आपका यह पुत्र समूचे कुल का संहार करने वाला होगा। यदि इसका त्याग कर दिया जाए तो सब विघ्नों की शांति हो जाएगी, और यदि इसकी रक्षा की जाए तो आगे चलकर बड़ा भारी उपद्रव खड़ा होगा। आपके 99 पुत्र ही रहे। यदि आप अपने कुल की शांति चाहते हैं तो इस एक पुत्र को त्याग दें। शतम एकोनम अप्यस्तु पुत्राणाम ते महीपते त्यज एनम एकम शांतिम चेत कुलस्य इच्छसि। और ये फेमस विदुर नीति का श्लोक। एकेन गुरुवै क्षेमम कुलस्य जगतस्तथा त्यजेत एकम कुलस्यार्थे ग्रामस्यार्थे कुलम त्यजेत ग्रामम जनपदस्यार्थे आत्मार्थे पृथ्वीम त्यजेत। तो एक कुल के भलाई के लिए एक व्यक्ति को त्यागना उचित है। त्यजेत एकम कुलस्यार्थे ग्रामस्य अर्थे कुलम त्यजेत। एक गांव को बचाना है तो एक कुल को नष्ट होने की परिस्थिति आती है तो उसको होने दो। ग्रामम जनपदस्यार्थे, जनपद मीन्स डिस्ट्रिक्ट, फॉर प्रोटेक्टिंग वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट इफ वन ग्राम या वन तालुका भी सैक्रिफाइस करना पड़े। आत्मार्थे पृथ्वीम त्यजेत, फॉर द सेक ऑफ डिलीवरिंग वन सेल्फ फ्रॉम दिस संसार, आत्मार्थे पृथ्वीम त्यजेत। सो point is, Vidur had told about this 80 years before, and now he has to tell openly, so openly that in front of Duryodhana. So Prabhupada tells another detail about here conversation is going on between Janmejay is hearing from Vaishampayan. So actual Mahabharata happened afterwards. What your ancestors did. So Vaishampayan अब परीक्षित महाराज के पुत्र जन्मेजय को बता रहे हैं।
हाँ, बट यहाँ पर जो ये प्रिडिक्शन जब हुआ था, जब दुर्योधन जन्म लिए थे, तो उस समय किन्होंने बोला था ऐसा वहाँ पर?
दुर्योधन ने, विदुर जी नहीं बोला।
विदुर नहीं, उस समय भी बोला था और अभी भी वही बोल रहे हैं। हाँ,
अभी भी वही बोल रहे हैं, वही मैं बता रहा हूँ। इधर क्लियरली लिखा है, जब उन्होंने ब्राह्मण लोग तथा परम बुद्धिमान विदुर जी इस प्रकार बोले, आपके ज्येष्ठ पुत्र, डायरेक्टली विदुर जी ने ही कहा है। तो जो चेतावनी 80 years बिफोर दी थी वही अभी उनको दोहरानी पड़ रही है। तो इसको त्यागो। सो somebody can read the purport. Prabhupada gives another subhashit meaning.
A good son is called apatya, one who does not allow his father to fall down. The son can protect the father's soul when the father is dead by offering sacrifices to please the Supreme Lord Vishnu. This system is still prevalent in India. After the death of his father, a son goes to offer sacrifices at the lotus feet of Vishnu at Gaya and thus delivers the father's soul if the father is fallen. But if the son is already an enemy of Vishnu, how, in such an inimical mood, can he offer sacrifice unto Lord Vishnu's lotus feet? Lord Krishna is directly the personality of Godhead, Vishnu, and Duryodhana was inimical to him. He would therefore be unable to protect his father, Dhritarashtra, after his death. He himself was to fall down because of his faithlessness towards Vishnu. How then could he protect his father? Vidura advised Dhritarashtra to get rid of such an unworthy son as Duryodhana as soon as possible, if he was at all anxious to see to the good of his family. According to the moral instructions of Chanakya Pandit, what is the use of a son who is neither a learned man nor a devotee of the Lord? If a son is not a devotee of the Supreme Lord, he is just like blind eyes, a source of trouble. A physician may sometimes advise the extrication of such useless eyes from the sockets, so that one can be relieved of the constant trouble. Duryodhana was exactly like blind troubling eyes. He would be a source of great trouble to the family of Dhritarashtra as foreseen by Vidura. Vidura therefore rightly advised his eldest brother to get rid of this source of trouble. Dhritarashtra was wrongly maintaining such personified offense under the mistaken impression that Duryodhana was a good son, able to liberate his father.
So here, somebody may say that ये दुर्योधन को मारने के लिए बोल रहे हैं, अबॉर्शन करने के लिए बोल रहे हैं उस टाइम, बट वो त्यज यानी कि उसको राजकुमार का पद मत दो, वो स्टेटस मत दो. ही कैन बी ऑर्डिनरी सन ऑफ योर्स, बट ही शुड नॉट बी मेड एज नेक्स्ट सक्सेसर किंग, और राजकुमार मत बनाओ उसको. और वो भी एक सन को त्यागो, 99 सन्स तुम्हारे हैं. एंड दिस इज जनरली डन इवन इन कुकिंग ऑल्सो. जो अच्छे बीज है उनको, या फार्मिंग में भी जो सिलेक्टेड बीज है उसको लिया जाता है, और जो अच्छे नहीं है उनको रिजेक्ट किया जाता है. सो दोज हु आर रियली क्वालिफाइड और हैविंग पोटेंसी टू डू समथिंग गुड इन फ्यूचर. सो ऑल दिस वेर like proved by the symptoms, and instruction was given so many years before, but he did not follow. So after hearing this, what is Duryodhana's reaction? Ityuchivamstatra suyodhanena pravruddha kopa spuritadharena asatkritaha satspruhaniya shilaha क्षत्ता सकर्णानुजसौ बलेन. तो इति ऊचिवान, सो इस प्रकार विदुरेन इति ऊचिवान अत्र सुयोधनेन. सो इन दैट सिचुएशन सुयोधनेन यानी दुर्योधनेन, एंड व्हाट इज हिज एडजेक्टिव? प्रवृद्ध कोप स्फुरित अधरेण. Great anger, pravruddha kopa, and sphurita. Sphurita means shivering or trembling. Adharena, his lips were shivering because of great anger or trembling, and therefore he asatkritaha. So he did tiraskar. Along with whom? Sa karna anuja saubalaina. So along with karna, Anuja refers to Dushasan, and Saubalena, Subal Raja का पुत्र Saubal शकुनी, और गांधारी के लिए Saubala वर्ड आता है. So he did tiraskar, asatkritaha, tiraskritah, किसका? क्षत्ता, विदुर का, और उसके लिए विशेषण क्या है? सत स्पृहणीय शीलः, सज्जनों के द्वारा जिसका शील बहुत वांछनीय है. स्पृहनीय मीन्स those who desire to have the character like Vidur. So what is Prabhupada's translation? While speaking thus, iti Uchivan, Vidur, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons. Sata, what is the word? Sataspruhaniya Shilaha, so the translation, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons. Sat was insulted by Duryodhan. Asatkritaha tiraskritaha, who was swollen with anger. So, Pravruddha Kopa, swollen with anger, whose lips were trembling. Spurita Adharena. Duryodhan was in the company of Karna, his younger brothers, and his maternal uncle Shakuni. So what did he say? Duryodhan say, Kayenam atropajuhava jimham dasya sutam yad balinaiva pushtaha tasmin pratipaha parakritya aste निर्वास्यताम आशु पुरात श्वसानः. तो येनम इस दास्यः सुतम जिह्मम कह उपजुवह कह अत्र उपजुहाव. तो ये दासी का पुत्र ये कुटिल जिह्मम मीन्स कुटिलम, इसको यहाँ पर इस सभा में किसने बुलाया है? अत्र उपजुहाव, तो किसने इसको इधर बुलाया? हालांकि उसके पिताजी ने बुलाया था, पिताजी के सामने ही वो इंसल्ट कर रहा है. तो तस्मिन प्रतीपः, तो ये कैसा है? प्रतीपः यानी कि हमारे कुल के विरुद्ध कुछ एक्शन करने वाला है. तो एग्जैक्ट वर्ड फॉर प्रतीपः प्रतिकूल सन, हमसे वो प्रतिकूल है. परकृत्य आस्ते, दूसरों के लिए ही कुछ कार्य करते रहता है. परकृत्य आस्ते, तो इसको आशु निर्वास्यताम, निर्वास्यताम आशु पुरात, पुरात आशु निर्वास्यताम श्वसान, केवल इसकी सांस रखते हुए इसको तुरंत पुर से बाहर हकाल दो. सो ड्राइव हिम आउट ऑफ दिस Hastinapur. Who asked him to come here, this son of a kept mistress? He is so crooked, Jimha ke liye crooked, and he spies in the interest of the enemy. So pratipah, tasmin pratipah, against those on whose support he has grown up. तो एक वर्ड रहेगा इसमें, यद बलिनैव पुष्टः, he is nourished by our favor. Yad balinaiva pushtah. Whose support he has grown up. Toss him out of the palace. So nirvasyatam, immediately ashu, and leave him with only his breath. So Vidura was faithfully serving the king of Hastinapur, but at the end what reward he got. So this is the incident one should remember whenever some difficult situation comes in our own life. What extreme example is there in the Shastra? So by seeing that extreme, our misery becomes very small. Otherwise, we think our misery or our problem to be the most biggest problem in the world. So the purport will not read. We'll go to sloka number 19, up to 19, and then stop. So after hearing this, what was Vidura's reaction? Sa itham atyul banakarna banai. तो इधर जरा ये चाहिए, रफार चाहिए इधर. भ्रातुः पुरो मर्म सुताडितोपि स्वयं धनुर्द्वारि निधाय मायाम् गतव्यथो याद उरुमानयानः. ऊपर नीचे हो गया? ओके ओके, ऐसा हो गया क्या? इधर
स्वयं धनुर्धरी से चालू होता है।
ऐसा है? ओके, 1 minute. So what is given here? This is 16th. तो इत्थम से ही चालू है, इत्थम से ही चालू है। और इधर भी देखेंगे, इधर भी इत्थम से, आई थिंक इट इज इत्थम से ही स्टार्ट है। स इत्थम अत्युल्बण कर्ण बाण ही। बहुत प्रैक्टिस है ना। आप देखो जीवदया डिपार्टमेंट, आप फीडबैक दो उनको। सो कमिंग बैक टू दिस, स इत्थम अति उल्बण कर्ण बाण ही। तो अति उल्बण है यानी कि असह्य, सहन करने के लिए जो कठिन है, ऐसे कर्ण बाण ही। तो शब्द भी बाण की तरह कार्य करते हैं। तो भगवत गीता में भी अर्जुन बोलते हैं कि कथम भीष्मम अहम संख्ये द्रोणम च मधुसूदन इषु भी प्रतियोत्स्यामि पूजार्हौ अरिसूदन। सो Lord Krishna, Madhusudan, how can I counterattack with arrows the respectable personalities like Bhishma and Drona? So even to such persons, a verbal arrow should not be shot, for to speak of some iron or some metal arrow. तो ये शब्दों को कुछ फॉर्म नहीं है, लेकिन उनमें ताकत है कि वो वर्षों के घाव कर सकते हैं। नॉर्मल बाण कुछ घाव करेगा, आफ्टर फ्यू वीक्स इट कैन बी रिकवर्ड, दैट वोंट कैन बी हील्ड। बट दिस हृदय को मर्मसु भ्रातु पुरः, भाई के सामने ही इस प्रकार के एकदम असह्य बाण कर्ण पर पड़ने के बाद ताड़ी तोपी स्वयं द्वारी धनुः निधाय, तो उनका ये जो धनुष था ये द्वार पर ही उन्होंने छोड़ दिया। तो एक कारण बताया जाता है कि why he kept the bow at the door, because there is no need to kill these Kauravas now. In due course, by their impious deeds only they will get killed. And another reason, I will not go to Pandavas and do some activity in their favor. I am keeping this bow and arrow here only. So he understood all this to be mayam urumanayanha. So all these things are happening because of Lord's great potency, maya potency. मानयानः गतव्यथः, तो ये विदुर जी के लिए विशेषण है। गतव्यथ, ही डिड नॉट बिकम व्यथित, डिड नॉट बिकम डिस्टर्ब। गतव्यथः अयाद, दिस इज द वर्ड, he left Hastinapur. Thus being pierced by arrows through his ears and afflicted to the core of his heart, marmasu, तो ये core of his heart, Vidur placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's palace. He was not sorry, gatavyatah, for he considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. So mayam uru manyam manayanha. So this is the purport on which you have question also in your student's handbook. How Lord acted internally and externally. ये बहुत अच्छा purport है. So somebody can read. नील सुंदर बाबू आप पढ़ो.
A pure devotee of the Lord is never perturbed by awkward position created by the external energy of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 3.27, it is stated, Prakriti kriyamanani guna karmani sarvasa ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. A conditioned soul is absorbed in material existence
under the influence of different mode of external energy. Absorbed in the false ego, he thinks that he is doing everything by himself. The external energy of Lord, the material nature, is fully under the control of Supreme Lord, and the conditioned soul is fully under the grip of the external energy. Therefore, the conditioned soul is fully under the control of the law of the Lord. But due to illusion only, he thinks himself independent in his activity. Duryodhana was acting under such influence of external nature, by which he would be vanquished at the ultimate end. He could not accept the sound advice of Vidura, but on contrary, he insulted the great soul, who was the well-wisher of his whole family. Vidura could understand this because he was a pure devotee of Lord. In spite of being very strongly insulted by Duryodhana's word, Vidura could see that Duryodhana, under the influence of Maya, the external energy, was making progress on path toward his own ruination. He therefore considered the act of external energy to be supreme. Yet he also saw how the internal energy of Lord helped him in that particular situation. A devotee is always in a renounced temperament, because the worldly attraction can never satisfy him. Vidura was never attracted by royal palace of his brother. He was always ready to leave the place and devote himself completely to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Now he got the opportunity by the grace of Duryodhana, and instead of being sorry at the strong word of insult, he thanked him from within, because it gave him the chance to live alone in a holy place and fully engage in the devotional service of Lord. The word Gata Vithaha, without being sorry, is significant here, because Vidura was relieved from tribulation which trouble every man entangled in material activities. He therefore thought that there was no need to defend his brother with his bow, because his brother was meant for ruination. He left the palace before Duryodhana could act. Maya, the supreme energy of Lord, acted here both internally and externally.
So, ये last sentence का elaboration, how Lord's Maya energy acted internally, कौन बताएंगे? In your own words.
Internally, the Yogamaya inspired him to take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet.
Ah, yes. And externally, he was insulted. So, all incidents actually, even Parikshit Maharaj also, he was unjustly punished. So, external Maya acted, but internally he felt that all my attachments were cut by this curse. Or even Chitraketu Maharaj, every incident is actually, worldly viewpoint it is injustice, but from spiritual viewpoint it is a internal potency acting. So in our own life, some incidents which we do not like from one perspective, but from another perspective, they are for our good. So even when Lord Ram left Ayodhya, he felt that if I would have remained in Ayodhya, I would not get chance to meet saintly people. But if I go to forest, then I will get chance to meet many holy people and see many holy places. The same situation, how it can be seen in a positive way. Ideal example, positive attitude example or modern seminar examples are there in the scriptures. But only thing we should scrutinizingly and very steadily, systematically try to study it. So I think we'll stop here. Tomorrow we'll cover another 17-18 slokas. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. तो सेम 16 तक ही रुक गए हम.
लाइक जनरली यहाँ पर जैसे वर्स नंबर 13 में बताया परपट में, जैसे कि लाइक श्राद्ध करने के लिए कंपल्सरी है कि वन हैज टू गो टू गया ओनली, और लाइक ऐसा कुछ है?
So our ancestors, each and every act was not known to us privately. He must have done some wrong things, and as a consequence of that, he may be suffering.
But here it is recommended going to Gaya for Lord Vishnu. So वो point, Shraddha has to be done, that is understandable. But like as I said, it has to go in that, because we don't see people going there, but they do.
My understanding is not necessarily to Gaya, the nearest holy place.
Okay.
Every state has one holy place. कर्नाटक में उडुपी है, महाराष्ट्र में नासिक है, इधर गोकर्ण हो गए, परशुराम जी हैं. If possible, go to Gaya, otherwise the nearest holy place. Okay. Okay. Now we can close.
दिसकर बोलिए पण ये बाहेर
हम्म.
तुमच्या डायरेक्ट कनेक्ट करून इंटरनेट. ओके.